Hey there. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest, most unrecognized mysteries in the Legend of Zelda series. Most people cover complicated subjects and also some simple ones, but today we're going to talk about something that is seen throughout all Zelda titles. Most people don't think about this because it isn't something they would generally ponder. I myself, being a blacksmith, thought about this before I even forged any blades, being into weapons and all. Each sword in the series of The Legend of Zelda, excluding early 2D titles, has a representation of a sheath, or a sword case in other words. Every sword is depicted with having one, all but the fairy sword in Majora's Mask. Some sheaths can be easily explained, while there stands one that has never made any sense to me. Let's go over a few, which I've been able to figure out one way or another. Our hero-to-be is found sleeping, having nightmares of a great evil, until Navi, a fairy sent by the Great Deku Tree, wakes you up telling Link he has been summoned. Upon trying to leave, Mido, a Kokiri, seems to be blocking the way, taunting you and saying you cannot pass without a sword and shield. So you look around, explore a little, and that's when you find a small space to crawl through. Upon passing through this space, you have a small puzzle with giant rocks, with minds of their own, which I will cover in another video. And that's where you come across a chest, which contains the Kokiri sword. Now, when you're presented with this blade, it is clearly just the blade. However, when you equip it, there's a small blue case with a gold bottom to it. I chalk this up to being a developer choice, being as to how they wanted to show off this extremely shiny blade. So for this one, we'll just say the sheath was in the chest as well. Moving on, we have Majora's Mask. You start with the Kokiri sword, which has been modified a bit. Instead of a wooden guard and handle, you see it replaced with metal-like material. Probably due to some damage the sword took in the past prior to Link's setting off to look for Navi. But the sheath, it's the same one as the original. When you get your sword upgraded to the Razor Sword, you can see the sheath has been modified from the original, still containing some of the original sheath. But in order to house a thicker blade, more material was added on. The material that extends from the side seems to be made from the same material as the Razor Sword's handle. So this, I presume that Zabora and Gabora just made the sheath for you. In the case of the Gilded Sword, I see the same thing happening. The form of the sword is altered so drastically that they have to create a completely different case with no remnants of the original Kokiri case. This is where we come to the Great Fairy Sword. This sword was presented without a sheath and continues to not have one throughout the entire game. Why this sword specifically excludes the sheath can only be because the blade would not be able to fit on Child Link's back without clipping into the floor wherever he walked. So I think that was just the choice of a developer. That's why I think they made this item separate rather than Link's final upgrade. Now I can sit here and cover every other sword from the series and where the sheaths come from, but I think it will come down to either the person that gave Link the blade gave him the sheath, or it being with the sword when he found it, that being a chest or lying somewhere. Breath of the Wild is a little different in where you can pick up weapons you see lying on the ground, and all of a sudden, Link has a sheath. For some, he gets them from chests, I presume, but others, I only have one conclusion: he makes them. That's right, Link makes sheaths for the swords he carries. This, I think, is exclusive to Breath of the Wild. As a developer, I don't know why they included them at all. I mean, you have larger weapons which sit on Link's back, so why make sheaths for only some of the weapons? In this case, I come to the conclusion that he created them for the blades himself. Where he got the time to do this is really beyond me. Maybe it's just a hobby of his. This brings me to the one blade that has no explanation. Out of all the games and all the different ways he could obtain it, It doesn't make sense that he would craft it or that it was found next to the blade. The Master Sword has consistently had the same carrying case since Ocarina of Time. It has had little to no changes. So where did he get this? For that, we'll have to go back and see when he first obtained it. From a game standpoint, Ocarina of Time was the first that featured it. But from a lore perspective, Skyward Sword was the first in the series, which was to feature the sacred blade with its sheath. When you first obtain it, it is called the Goddess Sword. You go through a series of upgrades until it becomes the Master Sword, the blade's ultimate form. In each instance, the sheath along with the blade itself transforms, acting as a mirror for the power in which the sword contains. It isn't until the last upgrade where the goddess Hylia, through Zelda, blesses the sword where you get a sheath which is endowed with a rich royal blue and beautiful sacred gold lining. For me, this is something that the artist thought a lot about, but seldomly gets noticed. The sheath in which the sacred blade of Evil's Bane sits in is a reflection of the elegant power and light that flows from not only the goddess, but from Fi as well. But this is where things don't make sense. Spoiler alert, in the end of Skyward Sword, Link puts the Master Sword into its pedestal, but he still continues to carry the sheath. Link continues to carry it even as he passes through the Gate of Time. It isn't until the very end, in which Link does not have a sword or shield, that he does not carry the sheath. So what did he do with it? My guess is to go along with this theory, it vanished over time and returned to the Master Sword itself. Leading back to Ocarina of Time, you are first seen with this sheath inside the Sacred Realm, where it is fastened to your back. And who is the one, or what is the one that sealed you away for 7 years? The Master Sword itself. So in conclusion, the sheath for the Master Sword has to be one of two things. A, it is the embodiment of the sword's power, which is a metaphor to the elegance and importance of the blade's integrity. Or B, it is a gift from the goddess Hylia herself, always bestowing it to a new hero, always protecting him on his journey, and always aiding when she can. So tell me what you think of this theory in the comments below. If you like the video and would like to see more content just like this, covering other topics that have never been covered before, let me know by liking this video and also by subscribing to stay up to date with everything that I have to post. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.